welcome back to Vlogtober day 11. Now, hopefully I'll be able to tell you soon why most of my vlogs have been kind of us talking together, but I hope you like them as well, these types of vlogs. I know I enjoy watching these because I feel like I'm talking to the person and we can connect more. And today I'm going to be talking about something which is quite quite difficult for me to talk about, something quite emotional, because as you can see from the title, I'm going to be talking about why I quit teaching. So yeah, please watch the rest of my Vlogtober series and like and subscribe for the rest of my content. I usually post a lot of plus size hauls and try on hauls and beauty related stuff, but I also post a bit of family vlogs and lifestyle vlogs and stuff like that, and hopefully when all this ends, a few travel vlogs as well. But yeah, I'm just gonna get to it and tell you my reasons for quitting teaching this year. So first of all, I was an English teacher up till this summer, and I quit in the summer because unlike other jobs where you just have a few weeks of handover to do to the next person who's going to take your role, teaching is a bit difficult because you have to keep in mind that if you're going to leave, let's say in December, mid-year, the students are going to find it really difficult to adjust to a new teacher. So that was something that kind of I had in mind, and I didn't want to just stop in the middle of the year and leave my students kind of with all the confusion of not having a teacher for maybe a few weeks because there weren't any teachers available if I had to leave, and so all that was in the back of my mind when making my decision. But I think teachers, let's start from there. I think teachers are superheroes and they definitely do not get the credit they deserve. And yeah, I really admire them because it's not an easy job. There is very little recognition from people. In fact, they're all just saying kind of, not all, that's unfair, but many people kind of look at the benefits of teaching as something which is unfair, like having summer holidays. And in my case, I just felt I couldn't do it anymore. And to tell you the truth, it was a very difficult decision to make because ever since, let's say when I was maybe 6 or 7, I used to say I want to be a lawyer. But after that age, I always wanted to teach. And so for me, it was very difficult kind of, now if this is what I've always wanted to do in life, what do I do now? Am I sure I want to quit teaching? So it took a year of thinking about it before I actually did it, more than a year, because the first time that I had thought kind of that I don't think this is for me was, I think it was in 2019, about January, February 2019, and again I wanted to wait till the summer to make my decision, but then the summer came and I said, okay, let me just do another year of teaching, and maybe it's something that grows on too, because it's not that I did not enjoy teaching. In fact, I loved being in the classroom. My students loved me. We had a great relationship. The subject I taught, which was English, was really fun because there's a lot of discussions, and I made a lot of videos, and they made the lessons fun. But yeah, there were other stuff then that made it difficult for me kind of to continue teaching. And I'm going to tell you because I've been blabbering on for a while now. So the first thing I think that was one of the major reasons, it's almost the major reason that I quit teaching was, like other jobs, for example, doctors and nurses, you have to disassociate yourself once you get home from your work. So if you've been seeing sick people all day, you kind of have to, at some point, not let it affect your entire life, you know? If you can't come home and be sad all day because you've been taking care of a sick person. And that's something doctors need to get used to, and nurses need to get used to, and people in the healthcare profession need to get used to. But what I wasn't prepared to go and have all that emotional burden from students and have to disassociate myself from that. And I found it very difficult coming home and kind of saying, okay, so teacher Claire has been left at school and here's home Claire, here's mommy Claire, here's wife Claire, whatever. I ended up bringing a lot, not only work-wise, not only a lot of worksheets and corrections to do, which that I knew might happen, but a lot of emotional weight, you know, from students. Because when you start hearing certain stories and when you start listening to what they have to say and what they've been through, it is very difficult. And the first year I felt it immediately. And I was telling my colleagues and they said, you have to get used to it, you will get used to it, it's only your first year. We start the second year and the same thing happens. And I think when you're a person who gets extremely emotional, even, you all know I speak about this a lot, even in movies I get very emotional, let alone knowing what someone's been through and not being able to help in any way. It was really, really hard for me. So it ended up taking a big toll on my family life and on just my entire life, really, because I ended up it was all I could think about all the time. How could I help? What could I do? And it was really, really difficult. And that was definitely a major decision why I decided that since I couldn't disassociate myself from work to school, from work to home, I had to find a different job because it couldn't I couldn't keep letting these emotions affect my life at home as well. Another reason, let's leave the pay out of it, which isn't great, but it's not that bad. It's okay-ish. Maybe not for the time you have to spend studying, because it's equivalent to lawyers and most GPs. So it should be, let's say, not as equal, but closer. The gap should be much smaller, the pay gap. And that was another reason, but it wasn't one of the major reasons. Another reason was the fact that your entire life is dictated by the fact that you're a teacher. So it's similar to politicians, but let's say politicians are paid for the fact that their entire life is under scrutiny. When you're a teacher, you can't dress the way you want to dress outside of school. Inside school, of course, you have your uniform, but even outside, not literally uniform in terms of not being able to wear this, not being able to wear that, blah, 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 that's fine. That's work, okay. But not even outside of work. You have to be careful what you wear, where you go, how to speak, who you're with. So it's basically your entire life is dictated by the fact that you're a teacher. And it was difficult for me, even that was difficult, because it felt restricting. I know it isn't the same for everyone, but for me it felt very restricting. And yeah, for example, even the pictures I posted, I was always scared that someone might say something about them because I was in a swimsuit or something like that. But I mean, you have your own life. You're not just a teacher. That's something that I couldn't get used to either. And yeah, it was definitely another reason why I decided to stop teaching. I don't want to put people off from teaching, because I do think it is a very noble profession. The kids, they show you they appreciate, even when they don't show you in words. Sometimes they'll say something or they'll do something and they'll show you that they appreciate it. Don't get me wrong, it's hard, and that I think it's getting harder because certain attitudes I see from my own kids, even though I try to teach them to be respectful of everyone, and in fact that's something the teachers tell me, that they're very respectful, they're well-mannered, and they always use their please and thank yous and everything. But even in them I see sometimes a certain attitude when I'm trying to correct them, and that is something that when you're working with preteens or teens just gets even more difficult. And you can't really teach students certain things when they're telling you, well, at home we don't do this, or at home you tell them, but these are my rules, this is my classroom. But there's, let's say it's getting difficult, more and more difficult, because it seems like they're growing up faster. I don't know what the issue is, but yeah, that's one thing I miss as well, though. I miss my students. And yeah, sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, maybe I'll go back in a few years, but then I remember why I stopped. And one major reason, last November, I ended up in hospital, and I had my heart was beating irregularly. I had ectopic beats and stuff like that, but it was I spent 3 days there in hospital, and from what we could gather, kind of, it was related to anxiety. And that day, it was one of the days where there was a student who didn't want to do his work, and I just really, really wanted to help him, and I was telling him all the benefits he would get from doing the work, and how great it was, and how fun it would be once he started, and how important it was for him. And he wouldn't listen, and I remember it had affected me a lot. And then that night I kept thinking about it and ended up in hospital because of this anxiety. So it was definitely something that affects me a lot, and I'm aware of it, kind of, and it's definitely not a job for the faint-hearted, let's just say that, because you want to do so much, but it's not always the case that people want to be there. I explain it as a day full of meetings, and most of the people don't want to be there. Now, you might have a few meetings a day at work, and you might have 1 or 2 people who really don't want to be there, but imagine giving 5-6 meetings a day, and having, I don't know, 5-6 people who really don't want to be there. And sometimes it's not because they don't care or the lesson isn't interesting, but they didn't sleep last night, or they were evicted from their house, or their father got arrested. I mean, these aren't things that are easy to let go and come to school and be fresh and ready to go. It's difficult. And at the same time, I hate that I couldn't continue teaching, because I felt that many of them felt comfortable speaking to me about this stuff, even though I had to then direct them to the proper person, kind of, to help them and speak to about these things. But sometimes I feel that I should have stayed, but at the same time, once it started affecting my health so much, I kind of couldn't really continue without damaging myself, and then coming home and not being myself for my children, and then my children become kind of the type of kids who need someone else to talk to. So yeah, I decided that I just couldn't do it. But yeah, I don't want to end this video on a negative note. I am homeschooling my kids right now, so I'm still kind of teaching, but sometimes it's worse than teaching 20 kids, but it's such a noble profession. My mom's a teacher. I have like 4 or 5 family members who are in the education sector, and I always tell them, I think there's something special about a person who can give his all to his students, and yeah, I'm just really proud of them. I always tell them, please appreciate your teachers, your kids' teachers and everything, because it is definitely not an easy job to do, and it takes a lot more out of you than you would think. Besides, let's say the summers are usually spent, let's not say the whole summer, but a big portion of the summer is usually spent preparing lessons, and you don't really have breaks when you're a teacher. You're running around from one place to another, or you're getting called, or you have a meeting or something like that, things which people who haven't ever been in the classroom setting wouldn't know. And this year, even more so with the situation, they are superheroes, along with, of course, all the medical and health care workers. But yeah, appreciate a teacher and tell them. So I hope you like this video. I know it wasn't a really exciting video, but it's something that many people have asked me about, so I thought you'd like to know. I hope that next week I'll have a few more. I mean, I'll have a video tomorrow as well, but I'm planning some fun ones once some things I've ordered arrive. So I'm really excited for that. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Like and subscribe. Bye.